Welcome to your new event registration platform. Classy will allow you to set up unlimited event registration pages. In order to start an event registration page, first fill out the form that can be found on the fundraising page of My EWB. EWB HQ will then send the event admin identified in the form access to edit the event template. Now Classy will show you what to do with your event template.
When you receive access to your event pages, it will be in either one of two formats. The first that we'll look at is a straight registration event, where the primary call to action is to register for the actual event and there's no follow-on action. And then the second type of event page we'll cover will be registration with fundraising, where the supporter would register for the actual event, and then upon successful registration, a fundraising page would also be created for them. So in essence, their support of the event doesn't end with the registration piece. They're also given the option to fundraise in support of that event as well. So you'll just need to assess which one of the event types suits your needs best before creating the actual page. Once you receive access to your event page, you receive access to this page, which is the event overview page. This will give you some nice summary metrics along with trends, along with some promotional tools that we'll talk about later on to actually get your event out there to your supporters. And then it will also have an activity feed with recent purchases, along with some other trends and metrics that you can track at a high level here as well. To actually start editing and creating your event, you'll start with the Edit tab and then move to the Details screen. The first thing you'll do is give your event a name, then a fundraising goal, which you can actually come back and revise or change at any time. The headquarters will be selecting your program designation here, so you shouldn't be or have any need to actually change the program designation. This is set to go to your chapter. The start and end date fields are the actual start and end dates for the event. It's not when tickets go on sale, it's when the actual event is occurring. So if it's a one-day event, you want to set the start date to that day along with the start time, and then similarly fill it out for the end date and the end time. Time zone would display what time zone the actual hours that are posted on the event page are displayed in. So if you are in Colorado, you'd want to set this to Mountain Time. If there's a physical location for the event, you can add all those details here. Once you add those location details, that would add a Google map to the event landing page. If for any reason you didn't want that Google map to appear on the event landing page, you can choose to hide it using this option here. The event description is pretty straightforward. It's basically just letting your supporters know what the event's all about, why supporting the event's important, how many rates the event might be used, just kind of generally getting your supporters excited about actually attending the event. To help you tell that story, there's some pretty standard styling and formatting tools that you're probably very used to seeing here, as well as the ability to add links, embed images or video, or if you or anybody you know is really handy with code and HTML, you can actually click the source button here and lay code directly into this block instead. The the event thumbnail image is just a unique image to help set this event apart from any other options anywhere it appears in a list. And then down here towards the bottom of the page is where you actually start creating all of your different ticket types. There's no limit to the number of ticket types you can create, and there's several settings that you can adjust and set for each ticket type you create. The first thing you'll do anytime you create any ticket is name it, so something that makes it fairly obvious what that person is purchasing. You can see in this example we've created both a general admission ticket as well as an early bird ticket. You can also set the quantity of each ticket type that's available. So if there's only actually 50 early bird tickets available, you could set that there. Sorry about that. The next field is for price. You can set free tickets. So if it's just a free registration or admission, you can set those to free and no credit card would have to be entered on the checkout page. One of the more important fields when creating tickets is the donation percentage. So this is the amount of the ticket that's actually considered tax deductible. A common example I like to give is, let's say that this is a ticket to a gala and the price for general admission was $100, but the attendees are receiving goods and services in exchange for that ticket price. Let's say at this gala the fair market price of the dinner that they're receiving is actually $50. Because they're receiving goods and services to the tune of $50, but paying a $100 ticket price, only 50% of this ticket price would be considered tax deductible by our IRS standards. So just keep in mind that if your attendees will be receiving any goods and services in exchange for the ticket price, you will need to decrement or reduce the donation percentage to fall in line with that amount. Next, you'll want to expand the settings section here for each ticket you create. The first field that you can populate is a ticket description. So if somebody were to roll over that ticket type on the actual event landing page, like I am here, you'll see that a ticket description pops up right to the left of it. So if there's more details you'd like to add to the ticket description, if there's special instructions they might need before purchasing the ticket, it's a great place to add that kind of detail. There's also a couple of settings here in terms of the transaction fees. So you can choose whether you'd like to absorb the fees in the ticket price. So in this scenario where the ticket price is $100, and actually I think you guys would be paid out for the full amount, so it really doesn't matter here, but there's another setting here for passing the fee on to the buyer. And if I were to do that, you can see that the fees are actually passed on to the buyer so that they would be covering the fees and EWB would receive the full amount of the ticket price. This is a setting that you'll want to talk to headquarters about before you actually set it. The start and end date here designate when availability of this ticket actually begins and ends. So as I was saying earlier, in the case of an early bird ticket, maybe that's only available for like the first 2 days. And then the general admission ticket would be the only ticket available for the last 3. And you can see that if we go to the live page, that only the early bird ticket is available here based on the dates that I've set for general admission. So again, you can designate when that begins, when it starts to become available and when it drops off. You can also designate the number of attendees per ticket. So if you have a ticket option that's like a family of 4, you could set the attendees per ticket for this ticket type to 4. So instead of having to purchase 4 individual tickets, maybe there's a discounted ticket option for a family of 4, and then you would set that attendees per ticket to 4. You can also set the number permitted per order. So if you don't want people to be able to buy more than, say, like 5 of any one ticket type at a time in one order, you could limit the number that were available per order. So those are the options for setting up ticket types. Again, just make sure that you expand this section to get to those extra settings for each ticket type, and make sure that you're very cognizant of any goods and services being exchanged for the ticket price, because you'll need to set that donation percentage accordingly. To create new tickets, you would just click the blue button here, and again, you can create as many as you like. And you also have the option of whether or not you'd like to attach a PDF ticket to the order receipt that they can print out and take to the event. So that does it for the details screen. Next, we're moving on to the design process. So again, I'll come here to the Edit tab and then Appearance. This is what the design tool looks like, and you will have a design template in place when you create your pages. It's up to you to what extent you'd like to customize it. The first section that we can customize is the header, which is this gray bar running across the top of the page. First thing that you can upload is a logo. If you'd like to add additional images to the header, you can upload those here. Or you can just leave the header as a solid color using the design tool and color picker here to get to the desired shade of the palette. Or you can enter in a hex code into this field here to get a perfect match with any colors you commonly use. The main page section, if I scroll down a little bit here, first thing that I can customize is the banner image, which is this kind of image within the image that you're seeing here. You can upload that image here, and you'll notice that recommended dimensions are listed basically anywhere in the back end that you'll be uploading images. The primary and secondary colors set the colors for your call to action buttons. The background image section would be this image that's populating the page both surrounding and behind the main form. Once you upload a background image, you'll notice that there's a drop down here with several different display options. So whether you want it to tile or repeat horizontally or vertically or have it centered and fixed in the background of the page, you can kind of play around with those different display options to get that background imaging looking just the way you imagined it would. Next is the media player. So if we scroll down the page here even further, you'll notice there's a dedicated media player here. This will take up to any combination of 5 images or videos, which you can edit and add using this tool. You can also drag the order for that content by using these hamburger icons here as well. And with videos, you'll just want to make sure that you're referencing either a YouTube or Vimeo link or URL. And again, that will take up to any combination of 5 images or videos. And then finally, the footer is pretty straightforward. You'll have this custom footer in place, so I'd probably recommend that you don't even touch it. But there are some options here. Again, check with headquarters to see if you'd like to replace that in any way. So that does it for the design process. Next, we'll move to email templates, again, under the Edit menu. So the only email template you'll have to worry about here is the ticket receipt. This top block would be a thank you from you all. So again, thanking your supporters for attending the event, letting them know how their support makes a difference, how their support will help impact your programs. Here's an example of what the receipt might actually look like. And again, if this was one of those scenarios where only 50% of the ticket price was deemed tax deductible, that deductible amount would be called out in this receipt, along with detail for any registrations that were purchased. And then headquarters will be providing you with tax deductibility language on this receipt, so please don't edit or change that. Next, we'll look at the Advanced tab. So in terms of campaign and event visibility, you'll probably always want to leave yours as public. We just have this one private for demo purposes. But basically, if you were to mark it as private, only people who had the exact URL for that event landing page would be able to find it. So you'll probably want to leave it as public so any of your supporters can search for and find the page. The host email is meant to act as a point of contact for the event, conveniently located right here in case anybody has questions about the event or your organization. Setting a vanity URL. So this allows you to create a custom URL that's much more concise for sharing purposes. So if you'd rather not share something that's a little bit longer and more drawn out like you're seeing here, you can create something that's much more digestible. So in this case where my event name is example event, I could create a vanity URL here of example, so I could instead just share support.ewb-usa.org/example, something that's a lot more digestible for your supporters. Anytime you want to use a vanity URL, you'll just want to make sure that that is available to you before you start sharing it publicly. Displaying the fundraising bar, if for any reason you'd like to hide this thermometer on the event landing page, you can choose to show or hide that here. You can also choose to show or hide a guest list that would appear directly beneath this map on the event landing page if you'd like to see kind of a running list of who's actually registered for the event. And again, you have an opportunity here to decide whether or not you'd like to attach a PDF copy of the ticket to the receipt email. Next is custom questions here under the Advanced tab. So there's some pretty standard fields that we include on our forms with the events, but it's fairly limited for a reason, just to make the process as easy as possible for your supporters. But we also realize that there are going to be times where you need to collect information above and beyond what we do as a default. To set those questions, there's 2 different forms where we collect information with an event page. So the ticket purchase page or a donation checkout page, there is a donation option. So the first thing you'll do is select which form you'd like to add the custom questions to. You can then either select from these fields at the top of the form. So if you want to select collect cell phone numbers, you can turn that field on and mark it as either required or optional. But if the information you're looking to collect still isn't captured in any of these options, you can create your own custom questions here at the bottom of the page. So let's just say for the sake of argument that all my attendees are going to receive a free t-shirt and I need to collect t-shirt sizes. I can create that t-shirt size custom question, and then depending on what type of information I'm looking to collect, I can have them answer in several different formats. So I can have them type out the answer in a single or multi-line text box. I can have them answer in date format. I can make it a yes or no question. There's a couple of number-based responses here. In this case, I would choose custom select list, where I'm creating a drop-down list of options for them. And if you need to create waivers for your events, there's also an option for that. So in this case, again, I choose custom select list. I can choose whether or not I want to apply this custom question to all of the ticket types for this event, or maybe if you have different options for like adult and child tickets, you can create unique custom questions and then apply those to a specific ticket as well. You can also decide whether the custom question is required or optional, and then in this case, I would simply start typing out the various sizes for t-shirts that would appear in that drop-down menu. These custom questions and their answers will all be accessible through your reports, which we'll cover here in a little while. So that does it for custom questions. Donation matching isn't probably a feature that you'll need to be using, but if you do, please contact headquarters to get direction on that. Discount codes. You'll likely want to create some discount codes for select groups of people, so you can create as many discounts as you like through the back end here as well. By clicking the new discount button here, the first thing I'll do is create an actual name for the discount code to be used. So we'll name this one 50% off. You can then designate how many times it can be used, so maybe just 15 times. You can then choose whether or not the discount is a full or a hard dollar amount or a percent discount of the ticket price. So I can say, well, since this is 50% off, we'll make this a 50% discount for the entire order, or again, you can create discount codes that are unique to a specific ticket type as well. You can then choose when the discount code becomes available and when it drops off, or maybe it never ends as well. So those are just kind of the nuts and bolts of creating discount codes. Again, you can create as many as you want and really kind of specify how and when they're available to be used as well. And then finally, campaign admins, if you want to know who has access to help you edit your campaign, it would be anybody at headquarters plus anybody listed here. Please check with headquarters before you give anybody access as an admin to your event. So that does it for the creation side of things for an event page. What if you were really happy with your content and design at this point, you'd be ready to publish it. This event page has already been published, but had it not been published, which we'll do here quickly, you'll notice that there's an option to publish up here in the top right. So you'll be in draft format up to this point. You're happy with your content and design at this point. You click the publish button, and now the Communicate tab will also unlock for you so you can start sharing and promoting your event. The first option here under the Communicate tab is to invite people via email. So this is going to be your first communication out to your supporter base. You can add email addresses here, type in the subject along with a brief message, and you can get a real-time view of what that actual email would look like in your recipient's box below. So you can see that there's two calls to action. This would take them directly to the page to buy a ticket, or they can donate to the event as well. Next is an option to send a message. So to people who already have an affiliation with the event page, you can see that there's a drop-down menu here, and you can kind of segment your different lists. So you can send it to all attendees, and you'll have different options once this event page starts to gain some momentum, again with a preview below of the email. So if there's updates, if there's like a change in the start time, if the venue moves, God forbid, for any reason, or anything along those lines, and you just need to get a quick update to everybody who's already bought a ticket to the event, it's a very easy way to track those sends. Please do keep in mind, however, that there is no email tracking capabilities here in the back end of the product. So if you do need to see who you've already sent to, we would recommend using the Gmail account that headquarters is providing for you. Next, under the Communicate tab, an option to share the event to your Facebook page, so really getting it out there on social media. And then a similar option for Twitter as well, so sharing it to your Twitter feed. So that does it for the Communicate tab. Next, we'll look at reports here. The primary report that you'll be spending your time in will be the attendees report. This will have all the information that's captured in the registration process, including custom questions. And this isn't a great example because there aren't any attendees here, so we'll actually look at a real-world example here real quick so you can get an idea of what those reports look like. Bear with me for 1 second here. So again, we'll go into the reports and then the attendees report. This will be all the detail captured in the registration checkout form, including custom questions. The first thing you'll do when you run any report is set the time frame of data you'd like to look at. So whether that's one of these pre-programmed time frames or a specific date range, first thing we'll do is apply that time frame to the report. Next, you have a couple of tools here to help you find and filter the data. The Quick Find tool allows you to very quickly search on these fields. So if I wanted to say find all the attendees with a first name Brad, I can very quickly get just those results. I have a filtering tool as well, which allows me to filter on any of the columns within the body of the report. So if I wanted to say, see everybody who, let's see, what would be a good field here? Who had a ticket name of VIP. Let's say I just wanted to see all the VIP attendees. I can set that filter and get just those results. I also have a columns button here to help me set the view for my report. So if there's specific fields you do or do not want to see, you can deselect or select those here and then save that view. Once you get down to the results you're looking for, whether it's a specific transaction, a subset of the data, or the report in its entirety, you can email all of those report results directly from the reporting interface here, or you can export it to a comma-separated value file that then you can open up in Excel for further manipulation. Another important feature in attendees report is the ability to edit, sorry about that, is the ability to actually edit one of the attendee records. So again, let's say that I wanted to look into a little bit more detail for one of my VIP guests. So let's see here. Apologize. So again, we'll use our nifty filtering tool here to get the VIP guests. And then if I click into any of these individual attendee records using this edit button in the first column, I'm taken to a screen where I have a few tools at my disposal. So if for any reason somebody, let's say, selected the wrong t-shirt size when they were actually completing their registration, any of the custom questions that had been asked in that registration process, I would be able to update those answers. So again, if I accidentally chose a small when I was registering and I need to get a medium, I as an admin of this event could go in and update that data point so that the attendee actually receives the correct t-shirt size. So that does it for the attendees report. The other report that you'll probably access on a fairly regular basis is the transactions report. So this is all of the data for the person who actually purchased the registration. So if I were to purchase a ticket for myself and then all three of my family members, only my detail would show up in this report. All of the detail for the three family members I purchased tickets for would be in the attendees report. So that's kind of the distinction between the attendees and the transactions report. The transactions is very high level, only has the purchaser's information. The attendees report is where all the individual registrants' detail would be housed. Same rules apply here when it comes to using these filtering and find tools, time frame of data, customizing your view, emailing the report results, and exporting the report. The main difference here is, and let me just make sure this is a good transaction. So, sorry, bear with me again for 1 second. Looks like the majority of these have been refunded. So again, you can see here, I'm just clicking within the body of the report here to sort my columns. And I'm not seeing a good one to edit here. So bear with me again for just a second. Well, anyway, what I wanted to show you guys, again, is the ability to edit the individual transactions. So this one's already been refunded, but had it not, there would be the ability to refund within here. And I think that's another area where you want to contact headquarters for direction on what the appropriate kind of situations would be for actually refunding a ticket. And then again, there's a few different things that you can kind of edit in the event as well. For a ticketed event page, again, you'll primarily be living within the attendees and transactions reports. You shouldn't be using either the offline donation or offline ticket options. All of the traffic for your event should funnel through the online site. And then we just make sure that you use these communicate tools if they suit your needs. Again, no traceability or trackability for emails sent through our platform. So if you do need that kind of visibility, please use your Gmail accounts. So that does it for a standard ticketed or registration type event. The next type of event page that we'll be walking through the creation of is a registration plus fundraising event page. So we have one of those queued up here as well. There's a lot of crossover between to your event. Same rules apply here when you get kind of some summary metrics and some trending data that you can look at a glance. Going into the Edit tab and the Detail screen first. Very similar to what we saw in the other event type. Actually, it's completely identical here in the top portion. Where it starts to kind of go its own route with some different settings is down here at the very bottom of the page, because now we're introducing the individual fundraising aspect to this event. So same rules apply here for registration with fundraising on setting up your different ticket types and the settings around them. The difference here is where you have an option to set the default fundraising goal for the fundraising pages that will be created once the registration is processed. This fundraising goal is just a suggestion. Once they actually get into the creation of their page, they will have the ability to adjust that either up or down, provided it's greater than $1. You also have the ability to determine whether or not the registration fee or price will be credited to the fundraiser's page. Our clients go both ways on this, but a lot of times supporters do expect to see that registration amount credited as funds raised on their individual fundraising page. That does it for the detail screen. Next, we're moving on to appearance. And again, this is pretty much identical to what we've seen for both straight ticketed event pages and for peer-to-peer campaigns. You can see it's just a little bit different setup here on the event landing page, where you have 3 individual call to action buttons before you actually purchase a ticket. Again, event details up here. So you'll see I have 3 options here in terms of participation. We'll cover functionality around those here in a little bit. But once I make this selection to either participate as an individual, join a team, or create a team, after I make that selection, that's where I'm then taking to the ticket selection screen that you were used to seeing in this space on the standard ticketing page. So again, just a reminder that they'll select tickets after they click this initial call to action button. Same rules apply here when it comes to the different elements of the header, the main page, again with the banner image and background images. The media player, because this includes fundraising options, any content that you add to the media player would also be inserted into the media player on the fundraising pages that are created in support of this event page. So again, if you want people to be able to add some content to the media player on their individual and team fundraising pages, we typically recommend that you only use 2 to 3 of those available 5 spaces here at the event level, so that each and every person who creates a fundraising page has the opportunity to add content to the media player on their own pages. And then the same thing down here with the footer as well. You'll have a custom footer in place, so I wouldn't recommend changing that without direction from headquarters. So that does it for the design tool. Next here under the Edit tab would be fundraising pages. So this is again where you have the opportunity to set a default individual fundraising goal for each individual page that they could revise, and also a default appeal that would appear on every individual page. This is one of those areas where you're giving your fundraisers the creative freedom to rewrite that language to tell their story about why they're passionate either about this event or your organization. So definitely feel free to rewrite the default language we include here for you. Just keep in mind this is one of the areas where your supporters do have that freedom to really make the page their own. Next under the Edit tab is Team Pages. So it's the exact same thing that we just looked at with individual pages, but now for team pages. So a default goal that the team can revise and default appeal that the team can rewrite. The donation page, this is identical to what we covered in the peer-to-peer training. So if you need a refresher on setting up a donation page, please refer to that training video. And then email templates is where, again, there's kind of a difference between any other event or campaign types we've covered before. So the welcome and appeal email templates, those are both common to peer-to-peer campaigns. The welcome email is sent to everybody who successfully creates a fundraising page, basically just providing them with a link to their fundraising page. So definitely feel free to update that language. I would just caution you not to edit or delete this button that gives them access back to their page. Appeal email template, this is the default language that would appear in the body of an email if any of your fundraisers choose to share their fundraising page via email. This is another area where every fundraiser would have the ability to update that language and make it their own. There's two different receipt templates associated with a registration with fundraising event. One is for donations. So once somebody has registered for the event and created their individual fundraising page, anybody who then donates to that page would receive a donation receipt email. Again, thank you from you as the actual chapter would come here at the top. There's a personalized thank you from the individual fundraiser if the donation is made through an individual fundraising page. And again, every individual fundraiser would have the ability to update that language and make it their own. Here's an example, again, of what a donation receipt might look like. And then again, headquarters will be providing the tax deductibility language, so please do not alter or change that. And then there's also the ticket receipt email with a registration with fundraising event, identical to the event type that we were just looking at. So again, a thank you from the nonprofit, the actual receipt with the tax deductible amount laid out, along with detail for any registrations that were purchased, and then again, tax deductibility language that headquarters will provide for you. So that does it for the email templates and the Edit tab. Next, we're moving on to the Advanced tab. So again, here we just have this one marked as private for demo reasons, but you'll want to leave yours as public. Here's where a few unique settings come back into play as well with this event type. So oftentimes if somebody is registering their entire family, a lot of times their kids won't have email addresses, so the mother or father will just use their email address for all the registrants. The default setup for this event type is an individual fundraising page will not be created unless there's a unique email address for it. So in that case, if I were to register myself and my 2 children but use my email address for all 3 of those registrations, only one fundraising page would be created, unless you allow for multiple fundraising pages per person. So if you were to enable that, then when I purchased the registration for myself and my 2 children using my email address for all 3 of us would receive an individual fundraising page. So an important distinction to make when deciding how you'd like to set the event up. Again, the host email would appear on the event landing page. We already covered the setup of a vanity URL. The option again here to display or hide the fundraising bar. Here's where you can get kind of creative with how you set the event up as well. If you'd like to enforce individual fundraising, you could disable team fundraising, or conversely, if you want to focus on team fundraising only, you can disable individual fundraising. Just a couple of interesting little settings to play around with there. And then again, showing or hiding the guest list, and then whether or not you'd like to include a PDF copy of the ticket. Custom questions we already covered here as well. Again, you'll just want to make sure that you're selecting the appropriate form that you want to add the custom questions or additional fields to. If anybody's having a hard time either creating or joining a team, you can create teams for this event at any time and even assign anyone you like as the team lead that's already created a fundraising page. Or if you wanted to pre-populate this event page with several teams for your supporters to choose from to join, That's another great functionality here as well. Again, donation matching probably won't be used by you guys, but please reach out to headquarters if you need to use it. And then the same rules apply here for discount codes as well. So you can create as many discount codes as you like, apply them to specific ticket types or all ticket types, and then determine the availability of them as well. So that does it for the creation of a registration with fundraising event page. Real quick, again, I'd be ready to publish this event page if I was happy with the content and design. Once I do that, again, the Communicate tab would unlock, allowing me to promote my event page. And then real quick, we'll just look at reports because this event type does have some specific reports as well. So again, you'll probably primarily be living in both the attendees and transactions report. You'll notice that in this case that there's a fundraising teams report as well. So again, the same rules apply here. You'll primarily live in the attendees report. That's where you see the individual detail for each event attendee. The transactions report would be a more summary kind of report with just the purchaser's information with all of the billing information as well. And then the only new kind of wrinkle here is the fundraising teams. So if you want to see how people are performing by teams, get the team captain's name or email, things like that, all that detail at the team level would be in the fundraising teams report. So that does it for the walkthrough of both the registration and registration with fundraising event types. Now I'm going to hand it back over to EWB headquarters to finish up.
We request that you do not do the following. Change the tax language on your receipt. It's currently in compliance with the RIS and needs to stay that way. That'll always be provided to you. We also request that you do not process any refunds. Donors and attendees can contact donate@ewb-usa.org for this request. And then please do not change the program designation. This ensures that your fund goes to your chapter. For more information on how to use Classy, you can visit the Classy Help Center at support.classy.org and the EWB USA Help Center at help.ewb-usa.org. These have many articles for you to browse to answer any questions you may have about these event templates.